What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again. I hope everyone's fit and well. Right, today's podcast is something completely different, and we've had this guest on before. And it's like an international week. And before, we always talk about Forest, but as you know, in the past, that we have talked about Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos. And as you know, all Forest fans know, I've got the main man from Gate 7 International, the man himself, Costa. How you doing, Costa?
What's happening, man? Good to be back on the show. It's been a while. I think the last time I was on, you were sixth in the table in the championship.
Yeah,
it was about 10 or 15 games from the end, and I think you guys were asking me, all right, what's your prediction? And I said you guys would get predicted, and you'd get promoted. Bloody, what's wrong with me? Get promoted automatically, second place, but you lost that game against Bournemouth, was it?
Bournemouth, yeah.
And it went down to that playoff final. Well, you got promoted. Congratulations. And it's been an interesting summer, and there's lots to talk about.
As Costa said, there's a lot to talk about. And as you know, people don't know. And if you don't, where have you been? If you're living under a rock, man himself, Mr. Marinakis, he owns Nottingham Forest and he owns Olympiacos as well. So people, if you've got any questions to ask Costa as well, people put in the comments below and we'll ask Costa. People know Costa's has got his own YouTube channel on his own platform as well, people. So before we do talk about everything, about what's been happening with Forest Olympiacos, Costa, give a little talk about what you do and get everyone to subscribe as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. So together with, how many are we now? With 3 other lads, we run a show called Gate 7 International. We're the #1 English source for all news related to Olympiacos. We mainly cover the football team. Olympiacos is a club that has teams across all different sports, a very big basketball team, but we're all football fanatics. We do have quite a few Forest fans that drop in from time to time, including Ben, Nick Hemphill as well. I think probably some guys that have found out about us from your show, Ben. So it's always nice to have them when they come onto our lives. So yeah, guys, if you want to keep up to date with everything that's happening in Greece, in Europe with Olympiacos, you can subscribe to Gate 7 International here on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz as well.
That's what people. If you please do subscribe to the channel. Like I said, the link is in the description as well, and then on the title as well, Gate 7 International. So as well, people just do. If you do, take you 2 seconds, hit the red button for them, and as well, people, if you can, for me, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, like as well, people, and like I get your comments in about if you want to talk about Forest, talk about Olympiacos, and the relationship. This is what the title was about: Forest and Olympiacos relationship and friendship as well. Marinakis is his own Nottingham Forest for 5 years now, and we've had our downs, we've had our ups as well. But this is why I got Costa in. So, people, like I said, if you've got any questions for Costa, get in the comments. Before we do start, I want to get the comments. Look through the comments as well. As well from Hadi, evening all. This is from John, evening Door. This is from Daryl, evening to both of you. Shout out to Eve. Hello, Mr. Door. I hope you're well, and I hope Costa is okay as well. My guy, evening Door. I hope you're well, mate. I am fantastic, James, and I hope James get you back. I hope you're on the channel as well, and I hope you're better as well. And this is Costa. What is my kind of listen to me? We'll get the comments in. We'll get Costa's in as well, people. So don't worry about that. Right, Costa. Let's talk. And it's been a crazy summer for both clubs. Costa, let's talk. And I know it's been a crazy. Let's talk about Olympiacos. And it's been a crazy month for you. Like I said, I've been watching and tell people what the hell has been going on Olympiacos, because I know you got rid of what's his name? Not the manager before you had. Like, tell everyone what has been happening.
Yeah, so basically so for Olympiacos going into any season, after winning the league, we want to get into the Champions League. So that's always the goal. Greece is pretty far down the UEFA ranking, so that means qualification starts early. We had to start from the second round this year, and basically we got knocked out early on by Maccabi Haifa. That was the end of Pedro Martins, Portuguese coach.
That's who it was. That's who it was, Martins, yeah.
So Martins has been our manager for 4 years, which in Greece, 4 years as a manager is like 10, 15 in England. Generally, you really don't see that, let alone at a club like Olympiacos. As long as I've been watching the team, I've never seen a manager stick around that long. He was trusted by the board, by the chairman, the owner, and things already seem to start going wrong after Christmas last year. Some might say even before that, but the writing was on the wall, but nobody wanted to see it. They thought that with a good preseason, with a couple of signings, we could make it to the Champions League group stage. It all ended rather catastrophically for Martins. We started with a 1-1 draw in Israel, and then lost 4-0 at home against Maccabi Haifa. And then he was all but gone. It took some time. Then Carlos Corberan came in, and we managed to make it through to the group stages of the Europa League without winning. So we took two, was it against Slovan Bratislava? Yeah. It took penalties to get past them, and then it took penalties at Karaiskaki in Greece to get past Apollon Limassol, the Cypriot champions. And Carlos Corberan, who Forest fans will remember, no doubt. Carlos Corberan,
very well.
He got sacked. He got sacked last weekend after going up 1-0 against Aris away from home, and eventually, we lost that game 2-1. Mistake from the goalkeeper, and then another a bad call, a mistake from the defender, and they turned it around 2-1, and it was basically 2 wins in 13 games, I think, something like 2 wins for Corberan, and it just wasn't meant to be for him. It probably wasn't the right appointment because he's an inexperienced manager coming into a club where there's massive pressure that he's never dealt with that before. So, it's a really rocky start to the season where we've sacked 2 managers. We just appointed Mitchell Gonzalez, who was our manager from 2013 to 2015, former, for the older people here, Real Madrid legend back in the day, had a good stint with us. And now he's back, and that's kind of where we are right now at Olympiacos, trying to piece the puzzles together. Similar to Forest in a sense that you guys lost a lot of players and brought in players. I think if you look across the transfer market in general, there are 2 teams that have made the most transfers into their squads, and it's you guys and it's us. I think our number is, I think we've made 27 signings this summer.
What? 27?
And yours is like 22 or something.
Ours is 23. Ours is 23 counting.
I've lost count, mate. I honestly don't know. Like,
I didn't even know that. I thought it was like something like 15 or 16. You lot brought, but never it was 27.
I could be exaggerating, but it's a ridiculous number.
Wow. People in the comments, how do you feel about that? I thought we were bad, but the Olympiacos brought in 20. Wow. This as a Forest fan, like I said, I know you brought in so many players, and there's quite a few players that Forest fans want to talk about. And I know there's one that's come from Tim. And as Forest fans, like I said, we were surprised about this one. What happened to Zinc and why? We know little details, but as an Olympiacos fan, what the crazy? We personally thought, oh, it was an Olympiacos thing. Every time a Forest played, he wasn't Forest, he was Watford on loan. But what the hell happened?
Yeah, so I know the story quite well, but basically, what is Philip Zincanagel's position? Yeah, so when he came to Greece, he was brought in by a manager that played a 4-3-3 system, and he immediately started playing him out on the left.
Yeah.
And I'd watched Philip Zincanagol play for you guys. Like, I I can't say like I knew the player really well. I'd seen him play for Forest a couple of times, and at Forest you play 3-4-1-2, and he was playing quite often as the one behind Surridge and Brennan, and he had quite a lot of freedom to do what he wanted on the pitch. But he was stuck out on the left by the first manager that got sacked this season, and he didn't dazzle with his performances, but he got a goal when the first game we played away against Maccabi Haifa. He scored. He was in the right place at the right time, and it seemed to get off to a good start. But in general, we had a really bad preseason. Like if you talk to anyone, like they'll say, Olympiacos doesn't look fit. It looks like the manager at the beginning of the season, he's worked them too hard. Listen to this. Like the first manager that we sacked this summer, he organized 6 friendlies in 10 days. And before those friendlies, he had heavy training sessions. So the players were doing heavy training sessions and playing friendlies. Like sometimes they had a friendly on a Wednesday, and then on a Thursday they're playing again. And yeah, there was like different teams playing, but generally like the players were dead. They were dead from the preseason. And what really struck me with Zinc is that he never played in that kind of position where he's
number 10.
He never played out wide on the right. If you look at his stats from when he was in Norway, when he was playing for Bødder, his stats are insane. Like when he's played that position out wide on the right, and now he's gone to Liège. He's gone to Standard Liège on loan, and he scored 2 bangers the other day.
See him.
And I looked, so like, all right, where's he playing? And he's playing in that position, like advanced role on the right, kind of drifting in. So for me, it wasn't a surprise. I was really annoyed. I was really annoyed that he was being played out of position, and it like basically what happened with Phil is that the new manager came in, Corberan came in, and all of a sudden, like, is like, you're not in. I'm not going to put you in the European list because we had too many players. Had too many players to pick. Not enough Greek players, which is important in terms like how you compose your UEFA list. It's important how many Greek players you have, because if you don't have homegrown players and you have less foreign players that you can register, etc. So Phil was basically a victim of that, and Phil wants to go to the World Cup in the summer. A big reason why he came to Olympiacos was because it's a big club. Like he liked the project. He's a project type player. And he wanted to play in the Champions League or at least Europa League. But as soon as it became clear that he's not going to be in the UEFA list, then I think he did the right thing to try and find a way out. And good for him. I'm happy he started well at Standard.
I heard like it was a bit of a frame at Olympiacos one time, because like I said, I was speaking to I don't know who it was now. I mean, wasn't he a big favourite at your Olympiacos when he joined?
Say again?
Wasn't he a favourite, like a fan's favourite when he signed, like when he slowly come to your club?
I wouldn't say that. I think when the signing was announced, I think there was quite a expectation, maybe in wrong kind of expectation, because. He had a prominent role at Forest. He was quite prominent at Forest. Obviously, helped you guys get promoted, and he was on the front pages. And Zincanagol was coming in from our friends, but not because he's from Watford. But all that malarkey. Yeah. And I think the expectations of what he could bring and what kind of player he was, like nobody really knew, but it was really hyped in the press. And then, when he didn't dazzle, it just kind of, it contributed to like quite a lot of negativity around him. And unfortunately, in Greece, that happens quite often. So we make signings and everyone's like, oh, boom, we bought this guy. And then he has 1 or 2 like games that aren't too great. And then, it goes downhill very, very quickly.
People get, like, say, you've got any questions for Costa, please do put a link. I will try and get all the questions for if I can. We're going to start with, like I said, with the owner. And as I said, no one knows, like he runs Nottingham Forest, he runs Olympiacos as well. And Costa, and this is a question for me. And we know, like when Nottingham Forest got promoted, and with Landry Marinakis, what he says, he does it. And I think this is why the Forest fans are really impressed with him. Like I said, I remember our playoff final next day, he said that he's going to back Cooper. And as you know, all Forest fans have said he spent 150 million on the club. What's yourself, and I don't know if you can talk on behalf of Olympiacos fans, what have you said about what's been happening? Because like I said, you just said he brought in 27 players, but we brought in. I know you've brought some exciting players, but we'll talk about later on. What's your opinion on what the man himself has done at Forest?
Look, I'll answer your question, but I'll try and put some context to it as well, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, we talked a couple of times before. I've been on your show and talked with your mates as well, and there's always been a bit of banter with Olympiacos and Forest fans about, you give us your shit and we give you out.
No more. No more Olympiacos players.
So, look, I think the way that I've always seen it, and this is shared, I think, by most of the guys that are on our show on Gate 7 International, I think we see the development positively in the sense that, look, if Forest is in the Premier League, you can say that's a lot of money going into Marinakis' pockets. Side note, I don't think Marinakis cares about money. Like, if you look at the guy's businesses and what he does, like, okay, and the 150 million that you guys spent, like, it's 150 million in TV revenues, and he spent all of it and more, like, to bring players for you guys, to replace players that left, and bring quality into the squad, etc., etc., etc. So, but the relationship definitely has changed, yeah, in a sense that we're not the feeder club anymore, and we've seen that with signings now. I'm not saying you guys are a feeder club for us, but you've bought in Josh Bowler and Hwang Ui-jo, and you've been able to loan them to us. Yeah. So
we'll talk about that later as well, people. So people do want to talk about players, please get in the comments.
Yeah. Now, what I want to say is that because of the way things have unfolded at Olympiacos this summer, and I think it's a result of, basically, as I alluded earlier, I think the manager, Pedro Martins, I think he could have gone earlier. I think we could have started with a new manager at the beginning of the season. It's not important to talk about that now. My point is that there have been a lot of Olympiacos fans that are quite not annoyed, but they look at what's happening at Forest and like, oh, he's spending loads of money over there. He doesn't do that for us.
But that was vice versa, wasn't it? Remember that was vice versa when you were spending so much on players, and now Forest back in the Premier League, it happened to us. So I think I get it. I get what.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what I always say to people is that if you're a businessman and you've got two businesses, and one of those businesses is bringing in more than the other one, you're in a position now where you're getting over 150 million pounds in TV revenue money every year, sponsorships and everything that comes with being in the Premier League. If you're a businessman and you compare those two businesses, and you're like, which one's more profitable for me? As much as he loves Olympiacos, and Olympiacos for him first, it's in his heart, and Nottingham Forest, his priority should be, I want to keep Forest in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I get it. I don't really share that kind of frustration that some Olympiacos fans share. It's like, oh, you guys spent X amount on bringing in Jesse Lingard on a free, or the guy you
Tower one day.
Yeah, from Union Berlin. we can't attract those kinds of players to come and play in Greece. We can only attract players when we offer them like, oh, we're going to go and play in the Champions League, which isn't even a cert anymore because we don't qualify automatically. So, yeah.
If you don't win the league?
No, we have to qualify.
Wow.
Yeah. We have to start from the second qualifying round.
Wow, never knew that.
So it's not we can't go to players anymore and be like, yeah, we play Champions League. So I'm going to wait till August is what the player's going to say because you got to get past qualification rounds. So the whole transfer, like the way we operate with transfers and everything that's changed over the last couple of years. It's been a long time since we haven't qualified automatically for the Champions League.
Wow, I never knew that. That's unbelievable. I've been giving praise to Olympiacos, but I've got to praise his son as well, Marinakis as well. Like I said, he's done a big job at Nottingham Forest as well. So shout out to Matildas, who follows me on Twitter. So if you want to come on my podcast, Matildas, message me on Twitter because I know if no one knows, he does follow me on Twitter. So if you can get on the show, but there's a shout out to Matilda because, like I said, he's done Mr. Marinakis did say after the playoff final, like he's done he's done a great job before where we went in the playoff final as well. So what's he like at Olympiacos with the Olympiacos fans and all that?
The son or the father or both?
His son. His son.
He doesn't have an official role in the club. But my take, I think he's had his finger in a couple of the transfers that we've made this summer. Beyond that, mate, like he's not very how to say like visible in terms of like what he does at the club. He's like his father. He's obviously like a massive fan and. I know they both travel a lot, like the father and the son. You see, Marinakis is in Nottingham on a Saturday, and then on Sunday he's back at the Gade Skaki.
Exactly. I do remember, like I said, last season, I think when we got rid of Kusutin, and he was at every game. He was at every game, and I think he used to post videos on Twitter, like after seeing the celebration, and like I said, he's I don't know if Forest fans don't remember. Like I said, Mr. Marinakis, he did say his son has done a big part at Nottingham Forest, and like I said, you've got to give some praise as well to him for bringing quality players. I think he brought in Jesse Lingard as well, and another top player. And as you said, he's visible at Olympiacos, but
he's more. My impression is he's more visible at Forest than he is with us.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. People, like I said, if you are new to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button, like as well. I'd like to comment below, people. If you've got anything to ask Costa about anything Olympiacos, about the players that we are going to talk about in a minute now. I think there's one as well. I think we've answered this question about Costa. What's Marinakis' reputation in like Greece, his hometown especially? What is his reputation like? I think you've answered this already. So, what's it like? Like I said, I know. Like I said, you brought in Cobran as well from Huddersfield. Lasted 6 weeks or what it is. What was the fans like? You got rid of him. You brought your new coach. Has he been giving in any negative energy, or was you lot happy with the sacking and Marinakis' decision?
I just think Carlos Corberán was in over his head, mate. I think, he's a young manager, ambitious, but just lacking experience, doesn't know how to handle a dressing room with a lot of characters and a bloated squad. Because, I mean, mate, the situation right now for the manager is going into training every day and trying to manage more than 35 players. I mean, how do you do that? How do you do that? So I think Carlos Corberán had some good ideas, we all know where he comes from in terms of, he was Bielsa's assistant at Leeds, and Bielsa's a fantastic coach, like one of the best. He's been an assistant in some other jobs in Spain at Villarreal. In terms of the clubs that he's managed as a head coach, I think it's one club in some low league teams in Cyprus, and then Huddersfield. I mean, Huddersfield was a really interesting one because
it was a weird one. I thought, as a Forest fan, like I said, Olympiacos, like I said, they've won championship after championship after championship in the Greek league, and when you hired him, as like those Forest fans was thinking, hey, it's gonna feel like he brings someone who hasn't, like, he was assistant manager to help Bielsa at Leeds, and then he did well for Huddersfield. But it was a strange one. Was it a strange one for you when you hired him?
I mean, honestly, mate, we had a lot of pressure in terms of making an appointment fast, because we had to make the most out of a bad situation. So we'd been knocked out of the Champions League, games coming thick and fast because of the World Cup, and then qualification rounds for the Europa League. So we had to hire somebody fast. I think it's hard to attract someone, and I think word is that Corberán was on the list even before the Maccabi game that we lost 4-0, and that there'd already been some kind of discussions between Olympiacos and Corberán about potentially taking over. Like I said, I just think the guy was in over his head. It was too much of a job for him, and the club just doesn't have the patience this season to, let's put it this way, the club needs to win the league or come second, because this year, not only first place, but second place leads to a Champions League qualification round spot. In the last few years, it's only been first place. And we can't afford to give time to an inexperienced manager to give him a season to show what he can do, and then play good football next season and do better. And the results just weren't going his way either. I thought he was a bit unlucky. Like, literally, I think we had big problems in defense, and then I think some crazy statistic that I saw just before he was sacked, Olympiacos faced five shooting opportunities inside our own box, and 3 of those were goals in all the games that he managed for us. Yeah. So literally, he didn't have any luck. It was too hard for him to manage all those players. And it's not really a question of me being happy or unhappy if he's been sacked. I just think that's the harsh reality of trying to manage a club like Olympiacos, where you're expected to win every game. And I know it might sound silly to some people that don't know the club, but at Olympiacos, things can change very quickly just with one result like that. You could be a king one day, and then the next day you're a poor man with no money.
I think with Costa, we've had exactly the same. Like I said, if you just explained about bang on, so we fully understand. There's a question from an Olympiacos fan. I don't know if it is Amatos. I can't pronounce it. Amatos Nas 17. Nobody knew Marinakis before he owns Olympiacos. Once he did that, he made enemies. Most personalities that hate Olympiacos. Is that true, Costa?
I'd personally heard of Marinakis before he took over the club. That's maybe more because because of the sector I work in as well. I've heard of who he is. Going back to a previous question about reputation and whatnot. I mean, Olympiacos fans, large majority, love him, and then anyone that's not an Olympiacos fan doesn't. That's a generalization, let's say.
100%. People, if you're new to tell me, if you just arrived, like I said, I've got myself and Costa. We're talking about Forest and Olympiacos relationship. If you want to ask any questions to Costa, please do. Like Costa, we spoke about in the past. We've had quite a lot of Olympiacos players coming over, and we always say you rejecters players like who's not been, you can't get in the team Olympiacos. There's been one person that that was, I think, you can class it as more successful than the Olympiacos players, but Cafu, that he's a fan's favourite. He was really like he likes to like I don't know if you know me and Cafu, we got a little weird relationship, like not like weird, like a funny relationship. We joke around and that, and great guy, fantastic guy. Cafu, like I said, he's always a guy that he interacts with the Forest fans, jokes around, motivates. And there was in the playoff final, he didn't come on. He was on the sideline, and he was getting motivated, telling players, do this, do this. Now, Forest players are going to Olympiacos. It's weird. I think the first time I had a show, we were talking about Marinakis, more players that come in to Forest, and now Forest players are going to you. Now you've got Josh Bowler. You've got this. I don't even know the other guy you got, the striker. Don't know who he is. You talk about him.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Josh Bowler first. Like I said, as Forest fans, we knew him through Blackpool. Good player. What was your reaction when we brought him and then he went to Olympiacos? Because me personally, I thought to myself, I don't get that move. I don't get it at all. What was your opinion on? Let's start with Bowler. What was your reaction towards when he so late in the transfer for us? It's the last day. What was your reaction when that happened?
We've been looking for a winger since Daniel Pedence left, essentially. So Daniel Pedence plays for Wolves now. Sold him there for 17 or 18 million. Very, very good winger. We've been trying to replace him for years. Essentially, Olympiacos, like I said, we've been looking in the market for a winger. And when the Josh Bowler news came through, I guess it really wasn't much of a surprise for me. I have a feeling sometimes that in a lot of transfer negotiations that took place this summer, like the strategy was, oh, come and play for Olympiacos and maybe one day you can play for Forest. And I'm just like, I'm just blurting that out there, like, just for shits and giggles. But it does feel like that a little bit. It does feel like the transfer strategy has been come and play for us, and one day you might play in the Premier League. And like we've sold players to the Premier League, like we've been good at it the last 10 years. Luka Milivojevic, like Kevin Miralas before that, Jose Sa, Daniel Pedence I mentioned. So we've managed to make some good sales into England, and I didn't know Josh Bowler, mate. I'd never heard of him in my life. I went on YouTube and watched some videos, and I've seen he looks tidy on the left foot, like the guy can dribble, and he's played a couple of games. And on our channel, actually, we do our own scout reports. Like we use Y-Scout, we look at data, we compare to our own players or former players. So like we really dig into these guys, like right when we sign them and announce them, and look at, okay, what can they bring, pros and cons, like goal creation stats, defensive profile, build up, everything. And when we looked at Josh Bowler, we thought end product, like where's the end product? And we've it's early days. Like the guy's played 2 or 3 games, started one in Europe, I think. He started one in the league, came on as a sub right after we signed him. And you can see the ability, mate. When he's on the ball, he's not afraid to run at people. Yeah. But then
same at Blackpool.
Yeah, but then it's like, he'll get on the wing and he'll cut inside and skin 3 defenders, and there'll be 3 players waiting in the box, and he shoots like from the byline, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, cut it back. There are 3 players waiting. It's like, and he shoots, and you're like, well, why did you do that? So things like that. You know, he dribble past one, dribble past another. It's like, release the ball. And he doesn't release it. So, I don't know, mate. Early days. He might come good. I think it's one of those where he's come in for a year, and he'll go back. Like, he doesn't want to stay with us for more than a season. It's clear.
Let's talk about this. And like I said, this came out of blue again. The guy from Bordeaux, the striker, and again, I didn't see that come in at all. I don't even know his name. This is how strange it was. So let's talk about the striker that is with Olympiacos.
So his name's Ui-jo Hwang.
Ui-jo Hwang, that's it. Just
so he's I think he's 20. I think he's 26.
I thought he was 29. I thought he was only 29.
He's below 30 anyway. He's not a 30.
I'm sure he's 29. That's what I know. When I looked at him, I thought a 29-year-old from Bordeaux, 5 million. I thought, what? Well,
yeah, there you go. So he's the other Hwang that we signed is 26. So now we've got two South Korean internationals on the team. So I don't know what to say about Hwang, mate. Like, basically, our star striker the last couple of years is a guy called Youssef El Arabi.
One's 30. He's 30 years old now.
Yeah, that's right. When we signed him, it was his birthday. Thank you.
Oh, great.
So our star striker is now 30. Fucking hell. I think he's 35, going 36. Youssef El Arabi. Banging striker, our record talisman in European competitions. But he's 35. We weren't sure of whether we're going to keep him. He wanted 2 million a season, 2 years, closed contract, 4 million plus bonuses. In the end, like, after a long saga, we signed him. We re-signed him, and slow start. And they thought, we probably need to bring in another striker. And lo and behold, like, Ui-jo Hwang kind of came on the radar, and it was done via Forest. I don't know what he's about yet. He's quite a mobile striker, but it's not really more that I can say right now, mate. He hasn't scored any goals. Like, he's got 1 assist. And we just signed another striker that was let go from Marseille, and all of a sudden we have, like, another option up front on top of Hwang and on top of El Arabi. Ui-jo Hwang is obviously listed in the UEFA list. He started both games in the Europa. Hasn't really done it yet, mate. I look at him and I think, does this guy play in the Premier League? I'm not sure.
Wow. So there's your point. I said I didn't know nothing about a striker and one. And
that's based on a couple of games, yeah. That's just based on a couple of games. Like, I haven't seen more.
There's the thing, like I said, when I've seen it, right, I looked at it as because, and this is another question I wanted to ask you, but like I said, you just said you brought in 25 more players, and what's your FFP like? Because it seems like I'm just saying this is not going to be true. We brought a player because we've got the money to spend. Send that to you lot, so it doesn't mess with your FFP. I don't know if that's true or not, but what do you think that's true? Like I said, you brought in just Bowler on loan. We brought a player that cost 5 million. Go straight on loan to you lot. So what's your FFP like? Or you need to worry about it, or
no, mate. To be honest, I'm not even going to pretend that I know the rules on FFP as well as one of my co-hosts, Ari. If he was on with us today, he'd probably be able to tell you. I don't know, mate. I know that in terms of our finances, because like a lot of clubs, we took a heavy hit with COVID, and more so in Greece because the stadiums were open at like a 10%, 15% capacity at first, and then gradually went up. Not like in England where last season, fans back in the stadiums and all that. We didn't qualify for Champions League last season either. So then the owner had to put money from his pocket into the finances of the club to give us a cash injection so that we could balance our books out. So I know that the owner Marinakis did that last year. So in terms of our balance sheet, I think everything's fine. But in terms of how that relates to FFP, I'm not certain.
Right, people, there's 64 people in. If you can do a massive favor for me, if you can hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and make sure everyone's subscribed to Gate 7 International. There's links in the title as well, people. So please help out Costa if you can. Costa, like I said, it's been a crazy 12 months, like for both clubs. And I said you won the league at the end of last season. What's your expectations this season? Like I said, you brought in a new manager. You brought in some well-known players in Marcelo. There's Rodriguez as well. What's your where do you want to do? Like, I know you lost 3-0 in the Europa. Was it last Thursday? And
Yeah.
What's your opinion on everything? Like I said, do you think you can do well in the league, Europa as well? The play, like I said, do you think Josh Bowler can make a change to your club? Talk to me, man. Like, it's weird, but like I said, I always watch out for Olympiacos. We have fans, so like I said, I know some Olympiacos fans like they'll call us Olympiacos reserves. We will say Olympiacos are Forest reserves, like that. But
yeah,
what's next for you lot? Because like I said, it's crazy. I'm still shocked that he brought more players than us. Marinakis, he loves to spend money on players, but what's your opinion on everything? What's next for you lot?
Oh, look, mate, whether like Olympiacos' expectation every year is to win the league.
Win the league, yeah.
To do the league and cup double. That's given. And we've had it pretty easy in Greece over the last decade or more. People that have been growing up the last 20 years, like Olympiacos fans, it's just like it's so like ingrained in the culture of the fans. It's like it's so expected. Like you go back to the 80s where we weren't winning anything for a really long time. They call those like the dark ages for Olympiacos. Are we going back into something like that? No, I don't think so. I think if you look at the competition, like Marinakis, for example, is our arch rivals, but they've been crap for the past like 10 years, I would say. Now they're kind of sitting high and mighty, like top of the league right now after 3-4 games, and they're enjoying that. And they're a team that got a good manager last season. He made them a team, and this summer he did what good managers do at clubs. He made 3, 4, 5 signings max. He added a few pieces, and they look a good team. But what they don't have and what the other competitors don't have is depth, like depth on the bench. Like, what happens if their striker gets injured? What happens if their star winger gets injured? What happens if their number 10 gets injured? Like, we can look into our squad and look at our squad depth chart and say, if that person gets injured, this guy can play. And they're all better than what they've got on their benches. So in a long season and in a league where the title's determined during playoffs, you have the top 6 that play each other at the end after the regular season's finished. I think anything can happen. I think it's not over. Like, we're 7 points behind right now. My expectation is to win the league every season.
Yep.
In reality, I think the goal should be to try and get a 3rd place spot in Europe to go through to the conference. This is this is taking us to the World Cup now, yeah? So by the time the World Cup comes, we should be aiming to finish third in our group in the Europa League, and we should be aiming to be close to top spot before the World Cup. And then during the World Cup, that's basically going to be time for pre-season 2.0 for us. Because, mate, anyone that's played football, like even amateur, or like I've played semi-pro, you can't, like, a manager cannot like create an identity for a team, or like, you know, train, put a team together when you have a training session like once or twice a week. They're literally playing games on a Thursday, then playing again on Sunday, then traveling again for another game on Thursday, traveling back and playing again on Sunday, like non-stop until the World Cup. That's a really difficult job for a manager. So we've got to knuckle down and, you know, grind out victories. It's not normal what's going on right now, mate. Like by definition, Olympiacos is an attacking team. We like to dominate possession. We like to dominate against teams. We like to press high up the field. But all of that's been lost. Like the identity's been, it's been mutilated. Like the club's footballing identity's been mutilated the last year, and now they've brought in this guy that has been manager of the club before, that has a winning mentality, has been in a big star in a dressing room like Real Madrid. And they hope that this guy, besides the nostalgia, like he can come in and like just, you know, give some confidence to the players with his aura, like his ego. But you and I both know that what gives players confidence at the end of the day, or what gives a team confidence, is wins. So we need to start winning. We need to start winning.
Just like Forest. Yeah,
mate. I don't know if that really answers your question, but
sorry, Costa.
I've been watching you guys as well, mate, and I mean, you know, Bournemouth and Fulham, it's the same story, isn't it? It's just like
question. I think Forest fans will think the same. Like, that's you mentioned, you brought in like 20 different players. Like I said, in the past under Sabi Limucci, we brought in I think it was 15 players, and now we brought in 22 players as well. And Marinakis, like both Marinakis, Lounges and Minotas, they got like reputations of bringing so many players. Do you agree with it? Like some Forest fans might not, but what's your uptake on it? Do you think it's right for Olympiacos to bring in all these players in?
No, look, mate, it's complicated because Olympiacos hasn't been able to bring in players from the academy for a long time. So the transfer strategy has always been, we're going to bring in some young players with potential from abroad that we can sell in a couple of years. Yeah, that's been the strategy for the last few seasons. Been fairly productive in some cases, and in some cases catastrophic because we didn't know when to sell. And that's why we have a bloated roster now. Yes, because COVID screwed things up, and you know we didn't know when to sell, or we didn't sell when we should have. Ideally, like I said, mate, any club, like, you want to keep a core of players, and you want to bring in 4 or 5 in the summer to improve, and then, you know, if you make sales, you replace players, but not this thing of like signing 10, 15 players. And sorry, I think the number that we have signed, and this is why I get confused, we have more than 27 players training. We have close to 35, 37 players training. And we signed around 15, or is it 17? That's still not. It's still far too many players. It's still far too many players to be bringing in, especially when you haven't been able to sell or offload players. Just bringing in players into a dressing room where, like, a lot of them don't know. All right, am I going to play? Am I not playing? Am I in the UEFA list? Am I not? Am I going to go and play in the B team, because we have a B team that plays in the second division?
Yeah.
So it's not like, if you play Football Manager, it's like one of those where the morale is all quite low, and how do you deal with that as a manager? So, no, mate. I mean, I in an ideal world, you keep a core and you put pieces in, but because you play in a league that's, quite frankly, nobody wants to come and play in Greece. People come and play for Olympiacos to come and play for Olympiacos because it's a massive club, because we play in Europe, we've got tradition, all of that. People know us on the transfer market. But it goes in cycles, mate. It's like there'll be a couple of years where we've got a good team, we add some pieces, and then, people get old, people go to other clubs, and then, sometimes the signings are good. Transfer's always a bit hit and miss, mate. You can bring some like massive names like Marcelo and James Rodriguez. They're massive names, and James isn't quite 33, 34. Like, I think he's in his low 30s. Marcelo's 35. We don't know how these players are going to do. Yeah, we have to see it on the pitch. Marcelo could be fucking brilliant at 35, but we won't see it, and he hasn't played yet. And we don't know when he's going to play. He might play, like the first thing we heard was that he might play after the international break. Now we're hearing he needs a bit more time. So
wow, crazy. I think bringing all these players in, like I said, it is crazy, but it is. I mean, Olympiacos, from outside looking in, like I said, Olympiacos, they always win everything. They always win everything in Greece. They always win leagues, and they got like a reputation of winning, and that's what your owner wants. And that's what Mr. Marinakis wants. He wants to win trophies, and that's what he's brought. I think he wants for us to succeed with all the players that we brought in. If you look at it on paper, we've brought some quality players, but it'll take time. Right, James, before we do go, like, there's a few questions that you will ask you. And this is from James. How you doing, James? Costa, if Olympiacos had a get player from Forest, who would you take? And also, who's a player at Olympiacos you look out for? Thanks, great stream, guys. So, what players would you take from Forest?
Freuler.
Yes, good player.
I know Freuler because we played Atalanta last season.
Yes, he scored that good goal, didn't he? I seen it. He scored that good goal.
I can't.
He scored. He beat you. I think he scored the second goal. He scored the second goal. I think there was two players
at the away game. At the away,
yes,
home for us. It was away for them.
Yes, yes.
Because I went to Bergamo for the away game, and then some of our boys went to the home game. They beat us comfortably at home. I don't know if you guys were looking at Malinowski as well, the Ukrainian.
Who was? The left winger.
So good. So good. Oh, that guy is so good.
We wanted him as well.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Like, I mean, you guys were linked with a lot of Atalanta players, and I think that was because we played against them. They knew the players. Like Freuler was brilliant. Like, he was really, really good at Atalanta. I'd really like a player like that. I do like Brennan Johnson. I do rate him. I think he's a good player. Jed Spence, I think, is a big loss for you guys. I've got to admit, like Nico Williams, I didn't really like him so much at Liverpool. And when you guys signed him, like at Liverpool, whenever he played, I just thought, I don't know if it's because I have a Tsimikas bias, like because like Tsimikas plays on the left, but like I remember when he was starting out at Liverpool, he was kind of getting into those reserve teams, and like Liverpool fans would always focus on Nico Williams and Tsimikas. It was like, who the fuck is this Nico Williams, guys? Like, look at Tsimikas on the other end. But actually, because I've watched most of your games, like I think Nico Williams has done all right. It's not at all the same profile as Jed Spence, who incidentally has gone to my English club because I support Tottenham. But he's not getting games at Tottenham. I just thought, I don't know why you guys didn't try and loan him back, like because I don't know if Conte's
Spurs. Costa,
he's a Spurs boy though, isn't he? Like
he wanted to go to Spurs, and like I said, he did fantastic for Forest, but his heart was with Spurs. Like he's a London boy.
Yeah,
well, but like I said, he was a fantastic for Forest.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing was that I think we made a bid for him and it got rejected, and Nico Williams was the next one. And like I said, everyone knows the story with Nico Williams. Like I said, he's got a good relationship with Brendan Johnson, both Welsh internationals.
Yeah, true.
And me personally, I think Nico Williams will come good for Forest. I'm not just saying it because he's a Forest and that. And I think
Ben, what's your like with all the signings that you made? What's your starting 11? Like you, like what do you think your starting 11 is?
yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, Costa. Like I said, we brought
Is Jesse Lingard your guy? Like, is he your guy, or should it be like Gibbs White playing that role? Like, what do you do with them? What do you do with both of them? Do you play them at the same time?
The thing is with Jesse Lingard, like I said, I saw a podcast with Rio Ferdinand, and with Jesse Lingard, and that's what we said, and I think I slightly agree with him. Jesse Lingard, on paper, is the best Forest player, best one we've got in the team. He needs the ball more, and with Jesse, he's not been great for Forest yet. But if you want to win games, Jesse's got to step up, and and you mentioned Gibbs White as well. Like I said, Gibbs White, 22 years old, I think he is. He's played under Steve Cooper for international level on loan with Swansea, and it's difficult to like I said. Cooper plays a 3-4-1-2 formation, and Jesse can play as a number 10. Gibbs White will play alongside Brennan Johnson. That number 10 role is so important for Forest. We mentioned Zink.
Yeah.
Like last season, that was Zink's position for Forest, and we've got so many players. Like I said, I personally thought getting just Lingard in, that's his position, and he's not played well. And Gibbs White, I think he played. I think that's the first time he played that position against was it Fulham?
Yeah,
for a little bit, and then he moved to right back. It's a difficult one to say, Costa. It's so difficult because we've got so many players, and I just don't think, like I said, Cooper's not used to having all these players in, and me as a Forest fan, it's so difficult to who starts because I've just seen a comment. A patch says Fury was man of the match tonight versus Spain, and wow, I knew he was a good player, but I was speaking to quite a lot of Switzerland fans and a few Atlanta fans as well, and they said to me, all the players in the best in a 3, not a 2. Because Fulham wasn't great against Fulham. Ryan Yates had to play 2 positions. The thing with just Lingard, like I said, he's a fantastic player. Gibbs White is a fantastic player. It's just how do you play in both?
Yeah,
that's a problem because I think you put in Jesse Lingard left, Gibbs White right, you put in Brennan in the middle. I just don't think me personally it suits him. That suits Brennan. It doesn't suit Brennan. I don't think it'll suit Gibbs White as well. And with Jesse Lingard, it's difficult to ask. It's so hard to say.
You got to change the system, innit? You can't change the system in the middle of the season.
No, but with this international break, and everyone talks about the World Cup break as well.
Yeah,
we haven't got time to. We've got big games coming up. Like I said, we've got Leicester, we've got Villa, we've got Wolves.
Was Bournemouth at home or was that away?
That was home. Both. The Bournemouth game and Fulham game. Like I said, 2 teams who got promoted as well, and the beaters comfortably. It's so. And Forest fans, we've got a bit upset about it. But at the same time, these 2 teams got promoted. They finished first and second respectively.
Yeah. But it didn't look like those games, because I watched it fall apart. It was just like, I mean, it was McKenna in the was it McKenna in the Bournemouth game?
McKenna against the Bournemouth game. Like I said, he should have just kicked it out. Simple as that. He should have just kicked it out. And
are you happy with your defence, mate? For all the players that you signed, that you didn't sign a centre back. You got. I mean, like Worrell was a decent defender. Like Cook's a defender that helped you guys get promoted, but is he a guy that helps you in the Premier League? And then what McKenna does, like in that game against Bournemouth, like he's not turning up to training the next day at Olympiacos. Like he's gone, contract terminated. Like
really
done.
The problem is, like I said, you mentioned Worrell, and Worrell openly admitted it, saying he needs to start getting to grips, playing games like in the Premier League. The thing with Cork, I think he's a wrong age of 30 now, but I don't know how. I think he's like 32, 33. And he's the players, like I said, we played Man City in the league, and Cook didn't play. And we had, I think it was Worrell, McKenna, and Canute. Canute he's from got him from West Ham.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay.
Yes, and we don't know. I think he'll stick with Worrell because, like I said, Worrell got dropped against Fulham. It's so hard. I don't know. I personally don't know. Like I said, I might do a stream soon for us fans on what position you'll play because we've got so many players. I think we'll do one this week. Who's our best level? I don't know.
Is that Richardson played yet? He hasn't played yet, has he?
He's injured. Yeah. He's injured. Like I said, everyone knows a story about Richardson. They got we signed him with broken foot, broken leg, or whatever it was.
I'd never heard of him before, mate. But
he started with Reading, then he went to Bayern Munich. Forest signed him, and the story was I don't know if it's true or not. Like we signed him with a broken leg, and Miss Marinakis was not. He was livid, absolutely livid from what I heard. And then, like I said, we've got so many players. Like we've got Mangala. He meant to be injured, but he's on international duty. We brought in Borley from Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
He struggled. He's not much fit. We brought Baddy, another player, as well from the French league. So we've got so many players that we can talk about. Like I've just seen a comment. Where is it? Richardson's back on training as well for us. So we've got left backs. We've got 3 left backs, 3 right backs, so many defenders. It's just so. I think Forest fans, watch out for the stream. I'll see what I will do a team. What's your favourite team for the next? Because we've got a massive game against Leicester as well. So yeah, I think it is. This is from Tim Dixon. Richardson is training for a couple of days, so he's back. But we've got what's his name? Left back, Brazilian left back. Nodi, yeah, got him now. Yeah. So we've got so many players. Let's talk about. Yeah. So now I'm not actually questioned to who I would answer. I don't know, Costa.
Do you have like who's your destructive midfielder? Like is it
Ryan Yates? It was Ryan Yates. It was Ryan Yates. Like I said, we've got so many midfielders. We've got so many midfielders. Like we can even mention Mangala. Yeah. He's a Belgium international, and he was injured as well. He got injured against Everton, and we've been impressed with him. Like I said, he played against. He come on against Newcastle, and he was fantastic for us. And then we played. He started his debut against West Ham, fantastic. Played his part against Everton, it was fantastic.
You guys got 4 points. You got 4 points.
4 points. We should have beat Everton, but in the Premier League, you can't.
Well, that was another one where the defense is just like, I mean, fucking kick from Pickford over the top, and just like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was just like you can't do it in the Premier League.
No.
And since then it's just been downhill. The Premier League's ruthless, absolutely ruthless. Like we said when we played against Tottenham, especially against Man City and teams like Fulham and Bournemouth. Them two teams, like I said, they've had experience in the Premier League, and time will tell. Can we cope with Premier League? I think we can, but it is what it is. Right, last but not least, before we do go, what like I said, as an Olympiacos fan, do Olympiacos fans want to see Forest do well this season? And it's a question I need to ask. Like I know some Olympiacos fans like a bit, like I said, it's not a bit envy of what's been happening with money. So what's Olympiacos' view about, do they want Forest to do well?
Is if I could like gauge the temperature right now, I'd say it's a bit mixed right now, mate. I think I want Forest to do well. I think there's a large portion of fans that share my opinion, but I also think there are some fans that don't think that can't wait for these guys.
I want Olympiacos to do well. I remember when Forest played you like a friendly. I went there to visit them.
Yeah.
And, like I said, there's going to be some ultras that are not going to be unhappy or the way Marinakis is doing at Forest, but I want Olympiacos to do well. Like I said, you know what? And there's one question I'd like to ask you before we do go. And I know there's going to be a lot of Forest fans who would love to ask after this. I remember the second time you come on the stream, and there's ex-Forest player that we spoke about, and now an ex-Olympiacos player.
Carvalho.
Carvalho. What the hell happened to him? Because it started well, and same as with Thiago Silva. What the hell happened to him? Like, did he just yeah? Has he gone on loan or permanent just gone?
He's on loan apparently.
What the hell happened?
Look, my information was that the last manager, Martins, didn't want him. My information was that Martins didn't want him. He did all right when he came in. Like when we talked about this last time, I told you guys that we had a creativity problem.
Yeah.
And when he played in Greece, for the most part, particularly in home games, he helped unlock defenses, scored a couple of goals, got a couple of assists. He didn't, it wasn't magic, but like it just did Carvalho things, like pass the ball forward, like he knew where his teammates were, like, play a one-touch pass over the top, or nice ball into space. So it's just one of those things as well, mate. Like, he plays in a position where, like, in modern football, if you're lazy and if you don't have a high work rate, if you don't press high up the field, it's not as easy as it was like 10 years ago. If you play number 10, like if your team plays a 10, like in its system, then the 10 needs to be fit. He needs to have a high work rate. Carvalho is not really that type of player. Like, we know what he's good at and what he's not. And then we signed Zincanagol, and all of a sudden, like, you've got different options at the 10. And already the manager at the time didn't really want him last season when we bought him in. So the writing was on the wall. So then he got loaned out. He was one of the first to get shipped out. I think back in July already, he went back to Estoril. So he's playing for Estoril, I think, for his former manager when he was at Benfica. So before he joined you guys. So hopefully he plays well, and then they sign him or somebody else. Because otherwise he's going to turn up at preseason next year and be like, all right, here I am again.
Exactly. I think that's the same with Forest as well. Like I said, every manager that he played, like I said, he didn't really get a look at, but hopefully he does well for them. Right. It's been a great stream. Thank you very much, Costa, for coming on my stream. Like I said, he's got his own YouTube channel. And if you can, do a massive favor for me. Go on there. It's on the title. Please go and subscribe because they took all Olympiacos. So if you do a massive favor, just hit the subscribe button as well. And if you are new to my channel, people, massive favor, if you can, do hit the subscribe button. I'm on 38 likes. If you can, before you do, I do leave, hit the like button. Right, Costa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully you can come back on the channel again and we talk about this. There's always things happening with our clubs. Hopefully that I don't know, maybe in the future they're going to be Olympiacos players come back to Forest again. Forest players going to Olympiacos. It's always happening, regardless. So,
you know, there's rumours about a friendly this December, yeah?
Yes, I heard.
I've got that to look forward to, mate.
I
don't know if it's going to be in England or if it's going to be in Greece. I heard Greece.
I heard Greece. So if it happens, people, maybe I'll be in Greece again. So watch out for that, people. Right, people, like to get going. Thank you, Costa, for coming on. If you can, people, do a massive favor for me. Hit the subscribe button, people. Like as well. And my next stream, like I said, I'm busy at work this week. I know we haven't got a game till next Monday against Leicester. I'll be definitely 100% doing a review show, a preview show next either Saturday or Sunday with a Leicester fan. So watch out for that. I might do like a stream this week. I don't know, maybe talk about anything. So people, if you want to, before we go, in the comments what streams do you want me to do, think of something, and then I'll do it. Thank you for people for watching, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Peace and love on Up the Forest.